Welcome back to the shop. If you're new here, my name is The Convicted Christian. I am 7 years clean and sober. I did 10 years in prison. And now I am free and off parole, all thanks to God's love for me. At least that's what I believe. There are plenty of people that have gotten sober, that have gotten clean, stayed out of prison, without a belief in Jesus or the Christian God. But for me, it definitely helped. If you're a returning viewer, you know that it is Life Story Monday. This is where I talk about all the events that led to me being me. I do this series every Monday, or try to do it every Monday. At a minimum, it gets released on Monday. I try to. And I just talk about how I became, how I went from being a constant criminal, always in trouble, always using or drinking, to being a family man who has an amazing shop, albeit getting a little too small. Last week, I believe I talked about meeting my wife and just how amazing she is. I can't gush about her enough. I really can't. There's so many good things that I can say about her, and there's nothing in this world that I would rather do than be with her. But since it's Life Story Monday, we also got to go through the Bible verse that I found and I enjoyed. If you don't want to know anything about this, skip ahead 5-6 minutes. Maybe even 4 minutes, maybe even shorter than that, and we'll get on to the actual story. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. For me, this is quite an important verse. Now, like anything else, read what's before it, read what's after it, find the context, who are they speaking to, what are they speaking about. In this, they were speaking to I believe to the Hebrews, and they were talking about their faith in Christ and their discipleship and their walking with Him. And it's important to me because I used to be very anxious about the future. I used to be very worried about what was going to happen next. What was my next move? Was it going to be the right move? And that ended up leading me to not making any moves. Not following where I was being led, running away from all my problems. And it definitely led to a lot of heartache and pain because I didn't have confidence in anything that I hoped for because I hoped for so little. And when I did, it was typically some manic, over-exaggerated, not impossible, but very improbable plan or hope that I had for what I was going to do in the future. And that led to its own set of problems. So for me, and this verse really only took effect for me maybe the last year. You know, and I've read it before. I read it as a kid. I've read it because in prison I have a lot of time, so I read the Bible. But finding a faith is difficult enough. And for me, when I found that faith, it gave me confidence in what we hope for. And what we hope for is nothing on this planet. At least I don't. Yes, I have my secular wants and dreams and everything like that. But that doesn't require faith. That typically requires diligence and doing what you need to do and following a plan. Whereas this, my hope is for what happens to me and my family, in the afterlife. And that faith gives me the confidence to hope for it. And it assures me, because I can't see it yet, it assures me that the confidence is real, the hope is real, and then it's not all for nothing. Now, if you want to take this verse and make it, just a mantra or, a phrase that you use whenever you're feeling anxious or nervous, you can do that. Because my faith is in Jesus Christ. My faith is in the Christian God, Yahweh, Yeshua, whatever you want to call it. That's where my faith resides. But if your faith resides in something else, and it gives you something to hope for, something that by yourself you can't achieve, that you need the faith, and that will give you the confidence and assurance that you need, because you're not going to see the final road. Like, I'm working on my leather project. When I first started, it was just a blank piece of leather, and now it looks like this. I think that looks pretty nice. If I didn't have faith that I could do the project, then I would never be assured that I could get it even to this far. So find your faith wherever it resides. If it's in Christ, awesome. If it's in something else, that's good for you. And use that as an assurance for the things you cannot see, where you're going to be, where you're going to go, or how it's going to be, or how you're going to get there. We're all on a journey. We're all on a walkabout. We're all on our own individual island. We got to map that island ourselves. And then maybe we'll get to where we want to be. Okay, so you have met my wife. Through me, sort of, whatever. What I didn't tell you is that during this time, I was trying to get a custody order for my oldest child, the one that I failed to properly invest time into, the one that I left behind, the one that when she needed her father, he wasn't there. I wasn't there. And luckily, despite all of my past, despite everything, I was granted. I started out as supervised, whatever, visitation, and then I was able to get her on weekends, and she would come and stay with me and my wife, and we would go pick her up and we'd go drop her off, or I would, depending on how schedules worked. And I thought we were building a good relationship. Now, like any child that all of a sudden, bam, has her dad or his dad come into their life, there were definitely some growing pains. Definitely some figuring it out having to go on. So, that went on for a while. And me and my wife we got married. Well, we had our first child. And we, at this time, neither of us were particularly, religious or spiritual or whatever you want to call it. We definitely weren't regular churchgoers. And then that sort of changed. I was invited to a retreat by my mother-in-law. And I had an amazing time there. For those that are Catholic, it was called Koinonia. And it's basically just learning your faith a little bit better, getting closer to Christ, learning about the church a little bit. And at this time, I was a non-Catholic going through that. And when I got through that, there was a lot of vulnerable spots. There was a lot of support. There was a lot of, walking with other people, them walking with you through your own struggles. And at the very end, something amazing happened. We were going to do a worship service called Mass for those that aren't Catholic. And we went into the Mass. It was a Mass just for us and a few other people, but pretty much for us. The priest there was someone that I really enjoyed talking with and having nice, deep discussions with, named Father Zach. And instead of a normal Mass, because we were going to get blessed, one thing I do very strongly enjoy about the Catholic Church is that they are willing to bless most people, because that's what Jesus did. He blessed so many people, even if they didn't decide to follow him. And there's this thing called the monstrance, and it's got different shapes, but it's basically a sun-shaped candlestick. I mean, I don't know a better way to explain it. It's got a base, it's got a shaft, and on the top of it, it's got a sun shape in it, and there's nothing in the middle. And what the priest does is he puts a piece of consecrated communion bread called the flesh, or Christ, because it's whole, so it symbolizes Jesus. The monstrance symbolizes Mary, and he blessed us with the monstrance. And I didn't realize that that was the day a lot of things were going to get completely flipped upside down again. He blessed me, and I sat down, and I absolutely broke. I couldn't stop bawling my eyes out, and so many emotions welled up out of me, and so much guilt and regret and pain that I caused others and that I caused myself. And I felt like the presence of Jesus. Obviously, he wasn't there physically, but it felt like he was in there with us. It felt like he was in that church with us. And all I could, this feeling of that I needed to just release all the guilt and shame and regret and pain that not only had I inflicted onto others, but I was continuing to inflict upon myself. To let it go. To let it all go. Because no matter how much I wanted to walk tall in all of my changes and all of my accomplishments and the fact that I was doing so good, none of it really amounted to a hill of beans. If I couldn't let go of the guilt, the shame, the regret, and all the other emotions that came with it. Because no matter how good you are, no matter how well you think that things are going, if you can't let it go, it's not going to let you go. You will always be scared and fearful and guilty, feel guilty. And that opened up a whole new aspect of, call it my heart, call it my soul, whatever, my mind, whatever you want to say it is. And it helped me release a lot of preconceived notions that I had. It was the first time that I truly believed that I could see people the way they were meant to be seen. And it started me down a road of caring about everybody. It's partly why I make these videos, is because I don't want anyone else to hurt. And no matter what they are doing, what they did do, what they're going to do, in the moment that they're in front of me, they're still a person. They still deserve compassion and dignity. And if they choose to do something about it, about the situation and change, well, then things might change. But no matter what, even if things go bad or things go really good with that particular person, I still needed to see them as a person first. All of their belongings, everyone they knew, none of it really mattered next to the fact that they're a person. lovingly created by whatever you believe created them. So then, after that, me and my wife decided that we were going to start going to church, mass again for her, and regular mass for me for the first time. And that was a very new experience. It opened me up, and so I decided to convert to Catholicism, which is a little different than when you're a child and you go through confirmation. You still go through all the steps, but they're sped up a little bit. I kind of wish they hadn't been, so then I could ask better questions, and I could have a better understanding of certain things that, even to this day, I don't fully understand. But I got confirmed, I got baptized, and I became a member of the Catholic Church. And it filled something that was missing. I don't know if it's the fact that it was a Catholic church. I don't know if it was just the fact that I was a member of a church. But it did something for me that I didn't know I wanted, or I was longing for, because I didn't know. And that made a huge difference for me. Huge difference. So we're going to leave it there. I hope you guys are having an amazing start to your week. I cannot wait to see you on Wednesday, or whatever day you watch my next video, where I go over what I learned at this time of my life. Thanks, guys, for coming. I appreciate all the support, and I really hope that you're finding the confidence and the assurance that you need. Always remember, if we're going to change the world, we need a little faith so we can change ourselves. Thank you. Have a good week.